This is a reinterpretation of a Swedish folk story that was originally translated by Anna Wallenberg. I, James, have taken the time to reorganize this in a way that seems to make more sense for me. This is not a comment on the original work, just an adaptation. That being said, a lot of the themes and concepts in this intro are not representative of the Uncharted North Network and how we personally feel. It just was part of the story to keep it in, and it felt disrespectful to remove it. Part 1. Once there was a farmer's son called Lars. Lars was a very happy and excitable young man, but Lars was not a punctual man, and everyone knew this about him. The other thing everyone knew about Lars was how much he loved Lisa. Today was unlike any other day for Lars. He was on his way to town where he would buy a new leather jacket before heading to his love's house to ask for her hand in marriage. Lisa's father was a very disciplined man and would not abide those who were not punctual. He hated those who were lethargic or late, which Lars chronically was. Thus, Lars had to reach his love's house by sundown, and if he was a single second late, he would lose Lisa forever. After reaching the city, Lars quickly found a jacket shop and began trying on some jackets. After some time, he finally found one that suited him in a way that he liked, and he purchased it before heading off on his journey to Lisa's home. After leaving the city, he realized he was running a little late and decided to take a shortcut through the forest instead of taking the main road. Lars and his horse trotted into the dense forest, and after a while, he saw something moving around inside of a ditch. In the ditch was a very horrible-looking creature, unlike anything Lars had ever seen before. It had the ugliest face and a very confusing body shape. The fear inside Lars began to well up, and every fiber of his being was telling him to run. It was just as he turned to go that the ugly creature looked up at him. To Lars' surprise, it was a woman, and her left leg was badly injured, so she wasn't able to climb out of the ditch herself. It was her pain and anguish that distorted her face. When she saw Lars, she called to him, "Dear young man, please help me out of this ditch. In return, I will reward you with a shiny gold coin." She then produced a coin and showed it to Lars. Lars was shocked at this and replied, "Why me? Many other people pass this trail. You should ask them." "Before you, I asked for help from 4 other people. Each one of them took the coin and ran off without helping," she replied defeatedly. "All I wanted was to gather the resin of the 7 pine trees planted in a straight line and apply it on my wounds." Lars, knowing he was already running late, replied, "Then you must wait for another passerby, as I must go right now." He called as he turned to mount his horse. That is when he heard a haunting cry from the distance calling out. Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Pathfinder 2nd Edition and the lore that surrounds them. Hello there, creatures, and welcome to our latest episode, a fun little suite that we are calling Trollvember. I am, of course, your host, James Mutant Runt Kid, and taking us through today's episode is Freeman Scraggly Eyston, which is a little less accurate than it was the first time we recorded this.
Oh, the expose, the re-record.
Yeah, I mean, so I should own my mistakes. I accidentally deleted the video of the first take, so this is our second take. It is much later at night. I am much worse for the wear, but this episode is going to be good. The first one was fine. This one we're going to make sure is excellent.
It's going to be awesome. Just keep in mind that worse for wear a parlance for James means he's feeling a bit cranky, which means every time I make him laugh, it's that much more evidentiary that I'm actually funny. So
Oh,
I just want
yeah.
to throw that out there.
I don't think there's ever been any debate that you're actually funny.
Perfect. Because Lord
But if
knows
you
I
wanna
think I'm funny.
Good. And if you listeners want to follow along at home, you can do so on Bestiary 1, page 314, and Bestiary 2, page 246 and 265. So, Freeman, tell the listeners about trolls, because I already know. That's not true. I actually don't remember most of what we talked about the first time we did it. None of this stuff sinks in until I edit it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah. Didn't even get to the editing process, everyone.
Nope.
Totally. At least that makes it less of a waste of time, though, which is kind of, again,
Yeah,
like I've said behind
this
the
is
scenes,
just
I'm
us
a silver
getting to
lining
hang
kind of
out
guy. Yeah. Yeah, trolls are pretty cool. Trolls are classic. Trolls are simple in a way, in a really fun kind of way, I think. And of course, Trollvember, because for whatever reason we ended on me taking the lead on this one for the most part. Expect another change up in the format. We're actually probably the first week we're not doing weekly, but the format will be kind of all over the place because yours truly, you're welcome. I like to change things up.
It's also our show. It's our prerogative to change things up.
Yeah. I like to throw the old challenge in there. Okay, troll. Let's go with the troll. Let's talk about Le Troll. We're going to cover 3 trolls today. Well, we're going to cover briefly a good number of trolls, particularly from 1E, but very briefly. But for 2E, we are covering 3 particular trolls. And we will start with the one that is about 12 to 16 feet tall, gangly, green-skinned, and maned, as you might expect, and has a massive, slobbering, fanged mouth filled with jaws and big old vicious claws. I mean, what more do you need? That's...
All right, I'm about 4 minutes late, but here we go.
Okay.
If you just jump to the chapter markers.
I never. This happened before too. I never remember the first splash screen. I always forget that it's there.
You should just put it in the dock. Splash screen.
If you happen to need more than this greenskin troll, we also have the slider framed 11-foot tall, about 900 pounds or 408 kilogrammed one that is adorned with trophies of bone and flayed hide, rime-stained claws and hoarfrost teeth, and I quote, sickly cracked fleshy ice. Sorry, let me try that again. And I quote, sickly cracked flesh of icy cerulean pallor. Which is quite dramatic of a description.
That is very dramatic.
And we also have the alternate of a 14-foot tall, 2,000 pound, about 907 kilogram troll with flinty skin covered in minerals and crystals, iron sharp claws, and mouths replete with crystalline fangs. We have the troll, the frost troll, and the cavern troll that we're going to cover. And I think they're all pretty cool, if you ask me. And they all kind of touch on that classic feel in their own ways.
Well, all those descriptions make them all sound really metal. Everything we've touched on so far actually reminds me a lot of hags. So let's see how that goes.
I would say there's less variety overall, or I don't know. Maybe that's not strictly true throughout Trollvember here. But
we got green. We got frost, and we got crystal
cavern.
Teeth.
Yeah, okay. It's looking pretty good so far. We'll see less variance in the next one, but more in part 3. So it'll be an interesting ride. But let's talk about the general
cards ready.
Yeah, the general ecology of the troll. So the common troll, which is a term I use deliberately. There it is. Look at that. That's there's something about that artwork that's like kind of on that. It's on that cartoony side of the Paizo stuff lately, but it's still really terrifying at the same time. And I love that combo. Considered to be a relatively dim-witted creature, generally stalking the outskirts of civilization, they tend to rely pretty much solely on their incredible strength to overpower their foes with brute force and aggression. However, they're known to be hunched over, and it is for comfort, but it's also apparently to cleverly lull their foes into a false sense of security, which is perhaps their only clever trait, or maybe dumb luck. would be my guess, but just happens to work for them. Maybe it's evolution at play.
It could just be a product of their environment. I'm 6'2", and I got a wicked hunch because the world is built for people 5'7".
Yeah, it doesn't help that you chefed for so long either, right?
No, that does not help at all.
No. So the troll is also endlessly hungry, just like a starving chef, and that's probably hence their aggression. Imagine, and I know you can, being hangry all the time.
Just shots across the bow all day.
It's too easy. And so basically, a troll will eat any manner of living creature, and their constant feeding has led to a sort of infamy, as it were. And said infamy includes legends about the regenerative. Oh, I'm gonna have a hard time on that one today. Regenerative. Well, I can't say it. Have I said it right yet? What the hell?
Nope.
Regenerative. That was it.
There you go.
Abilities. Wow. What the hell? You said it. You heard it here first. Part 2 is the better one. The part 2 of part 1. So the common troll is described thusly in the lore, which is great. Slavering, cruel, and invincible. And however, this doesn't quite do the justice for its capacity of destruction. We have a bit of an odd reference here, near not quite verbatim quote, but Paizo did put on this particular creature that they are as capable of bloodlust as orcs, which is not conducive with their current stream of writing, because they've been pulling away from that sort of stereotype. But there is a history of it, so they basically their purpose of saying that is to compare it with what orcs have been known to be, but trolls lack the discipline that an orc might have. They go on to say more things like you can combine this sort of same size and strength as a giant, but then you're adding the regenerative abilities on top of what a giant can do. You could also consider them as nearly as reprobate as ogres, but with double that strength. And I thought reprobate was a really cool word. I had to double check the meaning on it, but I thought it was like very evocative. And it kind of just means unprincipled. It used to actually mean like a sinner guaranteed for damnation way back when. But I thought it's just like
very explicit.
Yeah, it's a very punchy word. They're nearly as reprobate as an ogre. Here's a direct quote too. The only way to really understand the wanton violence of a troll is to experience it firsthand, a fate few would wish even upon their worst enemies. I'm quoting this for a particular reason because it reminds me of the one time that a troll came up in our 2nd edition playing, and somehow you guys managed to find a diplomatic solution. And it made me think, where did I go wrong?
Right.
GM.
I forgot we talked our way out of that.
Talked your way. You didn't quite befriend the troll, but you convinced it not to attack you while you went and killed its basically boss. And I thought that was I thought that was really funny. In retrospect, I clearly did not look into trolls heavily enough when I ran that bit. But anyway, as the lore continues, it sort of repeatedly implies that the troll is what it can do and will do, and how to stop it, in fact, is common knowledge. And I think this is an important point, which is something we're going to kind of cover in the stat block. But you're basically expecting violence is one thing, but the regeneration of this thing is a whole other obstacle, of course. And it is known that acid or fire will stop the regeneration, but simply slaying it with a flame weapon or a flask of acid or some such is not quite enough. Even the smallest scrap left behind is said to regenerate eventually into a full-grown troll, so long as it's given enough time. So you've got to burn it all if you want to truly stop it or get rid of it.
Okay.
Which I feel like it's feels like such a classic trope, although somewhat unique. I just kind of love it. I think it was
I love
you.
the idea that they've just baked it in, like that it's just common knowledge that like you don't even have to roll a skill check for it. You just get it. You just know
Well, that's
that.
yeah, that's the thing I'm going to cover
it.
in the stat block specifically. Actually, that
Okay.
exact thing, and there's a reason why, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, I think it was you too that that had mentioned. I don't know if it was our first attempt at recording this or it was elsewhere, but it was like about how fire is like sort of this quintessential terrifying thing in real life, and then in fantasy and all this stuff. It's like it's the one thing. If fire can't kill it, you should be afraid. You know?
Yeah. And, I don't know where I mentioned that either, but
yeah.
it may have been in the first recording. But yeah, it's a pretty universal damage dealing substance. There are like a few organisms on Earth that we know of that can handle it, and they're not carbon based. Most of them are silicon based. I can't speak for the entirety of that particular populace, but
sure.
Yeah, it is crazy when fire doesn't hurt shit. So
yeah.
It's nice to know that these at least conform to that trope a little.
Yeah, exactly. In a very specific way, in fact, which I think is kind of fun. So you can expect a troll to be a solitary hunter. I would assume because they probably tend to eat each other because they're ravenously hungry all the time. Right. And even like other giant related creatures they want nothing to do with them. They're just like too chaotic, I guess. But on occasion, you will find a wandering group of like 2 or 4, but it's only if there's plenty of food or if there happens to be that classic crossing of territories of a particularly powerful common enemy kind of thing that might kind of like temporarily group up. In very rare cases, there will be a powerful troll that has like come to be capable of like leading a small tribe. These are called troll kings, which we'll cover in part 2. And they've basically managed to sort of muster enough cunning to lead followers into like brutal raids and massacres. And the presence of such a group, I love this, the presence of such a group is bound to permanently alter any ecosystem it marches through. So that gives you an idea of just how destructive a group of trolls can be. And perhaps gives you some idea of what one can be like. Yeah.
That's actually crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. Like forget
permanently alter the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like that's like Napoleon marching his French armies through Europe and salting the earth behind him kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's like it makes you think of when we covered the Catoblepus, you know, where it's got like this sort of like lair aura that like totally like makes things die and rot and stinky and stuff like that. But this is like through sheer action and not like casual passing by. It is like destruction, you know.
This isn't a byproduct. This is just straight ravaging.
So it's pretty intense. So I thought that was a neat little fact. But of course, the common troll, as it were, is but one creature. There are a number of varieties. There are regional types like mountain trolls and moss trolls in swamps or marshes, and like even water-dwelling trolls known as scrags and hybrid flood trolls, which aren't really covered in 2e, but we'll touch on them a little bit for the 1e stuff. But let's move on to the next one, our more slight version, the frost troll, which is no less nightmarish.
Before we get there, I just want to give an audio description for those listeners.
Oh, yes. Please do.
It is green.
Yep,
very
covered
descriptive. That. It's also kind of porcine. Like it has like a boar-esque mane. It has like tiny little hooved. They're not hooved feet, but they look like they should be. They're like clawed back feet. It's definitely got clawed front hands, and it's in this like powerful parkour leaping sort of position.
Yeah. And you could see the slobber. Like it looks like it's all over its own belly. It's just like coming at you, and its jaw looks like it's almost been like disconnected just to bite you in one.
It's got this massive snout with like an underbite and like these dead eyes and pointy ears. It's really interesting artwork. And like you said, it does lean on that cartoony side, but it's also kind of frightening, which is a nice line that they walk.
I didn't include it here, but the artwork for the troll you did encounter looked much more docile than this. It actually looked reasonably friendly.
Oh yeah.
So it probably lulled you into that approach in a way, the artwork alone.
Well, that was an interesting situation because Corvin,
It really was.
my wizard at the time, was a monster, and he was trying to convince another monster.
Yeah. That was a hell of a session.
Yeah, he is an odd character, but I
but yeah, let's look at the frost troll. So like I said, no less nightmarish at the end of the day, probably because they come with a little more cunning than the average, and they actually often hunt in packs of 3. One usually attacking openly and aggressively, while the others lay in wait and suss out any weakness before moving in for the kill. So they're going Jurassic Park Velociraptor style.
right. Actual pack tactics.
Yeah, genuinely enough cunning to like plan it out in some capacity. And then they have another classic trope where they prefer the taste of human flesh. I don't know how many times we've covered that. They have a very, very particular preference for it.
111, I think.
It's been exactly 111 so far. But because of this, they will adjust their hunting grounds accordingly. As you can imagine, they live far north, and so when it says human flesh, I sort of at this point just kind of lean into humanoid flesh, maybe, because like even the northern reaches probably have a wider variety. It's not just, it's probably still majority human and Golarion, but surely there's a variety mixed in there.
Probably bipedal, non-fur based.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So if you're playing a human, in a northern setting, just make them super hairy, and then the frost troll won't prefer you.
There's your life hack.
Have you met Harold the Hirsute?
Yeah.
He's my new dwarven fighter.
It's not a coat, that's my back fur.
The tribe used to shave me once a month to make a new coat. You have no idea how many sleeping bags I have filled.
Or baseballs.
Or baseballs.
Today I learned that baseballs are filled with wool because there was they wanted to keep the wool industry alive.
Oh, really? I had no idea. That's funny.
Yeah, this is an interesting looking one too. It's got these really stubby and powerful looking calves, but the rest of it just looks like a normal dwarf that's been dunked in blue, sparkly blue paint.
Yeah, kind of like a Dwargar or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still got the pointy ears and the dead eyes and probably an underbite, and it looks like its hair is made of icicles. Oh,
yeah.
I know what this reminds me of. This is what I picture in my head when people talk about World of Warcraft. This exact cartoonish art style is what I imagine WoW concept art looks like.
Right. I could see it. I'm sure there's some WoW concept art that has definitely been reflective of this. I will say that it doesn't reflect the playable troll in WoW, but surely there's a creature that's been fought somewhere that looked similar to that. Definitely. But let's there's not much more to say on the ecology of the frost troll than that. But we can move on to the cavern troll, which as you would imagine lives underground, travels the darklands, and they still prefer living creatures as their meal, but they have no problem at all eating rocks and minerals to get by. In fact, if I recall correctly, they have a love just like the Zorn for some like very precious gems and stuff. They very rarely venture to the surface world, probably or definitely because they have a very particular and classic troll sensitivity to the sun, making them very, very akin to like Conan O'Brien, the redheaded Irishman. Just get me out of there.
And we'll touch on the real world origins of that lore in next episode, because that is something that takes place in Scandinavian lore specifically, that trolls are
awesome,
sensitive to sunlight. So that's cool to see it reflected here.
But for reals though, yeah, like the sun will like petrify them. Is where that kind of comes in mechanically. Like
it's that bad. Okay,
it's that bad. We'll get into how it works, because like usual, there's a bit of a process to it. It's not just instant, but it's
turning a stone to stone isn't really alchemy.
Yeah. It's So in the case of the Cavern Troll too, they have one thing that's unlike the other two, and it's that they do not have a weakness or a susceptibility to fire. So it doesn't affect their regeneration, but you can swap that in for sonic damage, given their sort of crystalline kind of makeup. So that's your alternative in there, which I love.
Do have these like crystals coming out of parts of their body, and it looks like their teeth might even be made of crystals, which is weird and awkward. That would be like my teeth being made of pizza slices. Like it just
right.
The math doesn't quite add up there.
My teeth are made of beer. So
you're lucky
sidebar.
I can't cut these.
I know, right? This was your choice. Just remember that.
I stand by it. The listeners deserve that one.
Oh God. That's the thing I don't like, is that you get all my coughs when I'm laughing too hard. But let's go to a sidebar here. Let's talk about something a little extra. And maybe even content warning, because the next picture I want you to throw up is rather gory. And it covers this little extra thing. There's a devout type of troll. Oof, there it is. Called an augur. And they have what is called the gift of sight, which they believe is given to them by a demon lord named as, I'm going with Urxel, who is the demon lord of storms and disasters. There's no 2e entry for this demon lord as of yet.
Well then fuck it. Urxel's canon. Eat it, Paizo.
Nailed it. The practice of these augurs is super macabre, and as you can see, and it's a sort of future-telling ritual where they slash open their own abdomen or the abdomen of another troll, and they read signs and prophecies in the literal quivering of their own entrails. And then
that's family friendly.
Yeah, others that are present for the ritual will actually prod and poke the troll that cut itself in order to keep it conscious throughout. It's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up. I will say too, I won't even say where it comes from, but I was talking about this with Cam, and Cam mentioned that in one of the APs, there's also a troll that likes to, it's one of the 1E APs. So it's, so it's spoilers, but it's a long time ago. Would like to rip its own face off so that it could feel the rain on its skull, which is just bonkers. But they just think, because they just regenerate it, right? Like, it's just not a life-threatening thing. It's just,
I get it. I mean, my fingernails regenerate. I'm not gonna pull one off just to know what it feels like.
Oh, it's so weird. Anyway,
for those of you listening, this thing is in like a toga, and it's literally reaching inside of itself as it strips out its own intestines.
It's just holding them up in front of its own face, just observing them. This is a dark one. It is brutal. You really get the underbite on this artwork too. Holy crap!
Yeah. It's
amazing how they can chew anything.
Like tusks. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, the blood of trolls is quite valuable. And while it's generally thought to be not actually all that special beyond having a vibrant hue, in the right hands and using the right applications, it apparently can produce impressive things. Alchemically, it can basically be produced into an oil that restores lost limbs. There have been known to be potions that grant supernatural strength, and even a smoke bomb that can cause anyone inhaling it to fly into an unstoppable rage. None of these I could find were listed as actual items in Pathfinder 2nd edition or 1st edition, I think. But interesting ideas for sure.
That's pretty neat. I mean, other than restoring lost limbs, this is essentially just venom, which is what's being pumped into Bane and Batman. Unstoppable rage and superhuman strength. So we figured it out. Venom's troll blood.
Venom is troll blood. That's amazing. You heard it here first. Marvel, we're ready to sign a contract. DC. Sorry, I fucked it up. I caught
there
it.
Is
I caught
a Venom
it,
in Marvel, so you're not wrong.
No, of course there is. Shit. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the frost trolls again a little bit. Historically, they were known to be isolated in the Saga lands in the northwestern reaches of Avestan, but they have been sighted in more temperate regions across Golarion, and some think, or well, no one really knows why, but there are suspicions that they've been driven out of their homelands by some sort of demonic machinations. Perhaps that's Urxel at work for some reason. Cavern trolls, as I said before, are known for their voracious appetites on minerals and gems, just like the famous Zorn. Should they encounter a Zorn, it is usually ends up in a frenzy of aggression and feasting, which occurs with only one side remaining. So very, very hostile encounter right out of the gate. They don't like each other. So I guess there's
no fucking around there. Just
I guess there is such a thing as having too much in common, But I love this. The cavern trolls that consume a, quote, critical mass of Zorns can actually achieve a tremor sense ability and become ruling monarchs over their kin in the Darklands. For some reason, consuming Zorns it kind of gives them some extra potential for whatever reason. But yeah, that is all the 2e lore we're going to cover for these three trolls.
How do you think Paizo defines a critical mass of Zorns? Is it like 4, 5?
I don't know. So I wasn't sure if I was going to bother this time, but I'm going to talk about critical mass because I did make a note.
I want you to.
So critical mass is just like reprobate to me was a very evocative term, and I was like, but I don't quite know what it means. So let me just double check the definition. And I thought it was really funny because the definition is hilariously bland for given this situation. So the definition in a non-nuclear sense is the minimum size or amount of something required to start or maintain a venture. So I reworded Paizo's words here for fun. And it reads this way. A cavern troll can become a monarch and gain tremor sense if it eats at least the minimum amount of Zorns required to do so. that's what they've said, but with a a more interesting way of putting it, I guess. But they didn't really say much, at least not in regards
nothing.
to how many. So I thought that was really funny.
That's why I wanted you to go back and do it. I really appreciate the work that you went through for that.
Thank you. So yeah, let's get into some 1E stuff. Why not?
Right.
This is going to be the most 1E stuff we cover in this suite. Yeah. There you go. So that's I believe the 1E art for a common troll. Could not really find a bigger image. 1E art is really hard to come by on the Google.
For audio listeners, you are missing nothing.
Yeah. It's about the same. It's a little more Boar-esque. But yeah, and
it's got this like why me pose.
It really does. So we've got of course with 1E stuff, which is some of my favorite stuff in a way, harkening back to some of the old D&D stuff in like Dragon Magazine, whatever. They gave a little more like detail on the biology and stuff. So we actually could have expected males to be 8 feet tall and 300 pounds, where females were larger at 10 to 12 feet tall and 500 pounds. And females had darker shades of green than males. Females would raise the young, but only after driving the male mate away, because the male mate was likely to eat said young. And females would actually live in family groups. They also would cast out or kill any that showed weakness. Killing was usually done through drowning or starvation, which the latter of which, I mean, both are pretty brutal, but the latter of which seems sort of extra cruel given how desperately hungry they are at all times.
Yeah. I mean, both of those are impressively cruel. Just one is active and the other's passive, I think.
Yeah. And just imagine
do you care about this enough to murder it, or do you not care about it enough to murder it?
Right. And the more it's starving, the weaker it gets, probably the more abused it becomes. It's a pretty vicious little family to live in. The males being driven out are basically the solitary hunter part. So this is where 2e, obviously, they go for a less gender specific approach on most of the things they're doing now, and so they've kind of like balanced it out. Trolls are kind of more generally this, that, and the other, and all of these things at the same time. And then we have Urxel, the demon lord of storms and disasters, is worshipped as the patron of trolls, and he's known to love. He loves toying with trolls and by basically sending groups of ogres or humans after them, or even storms, or worse yet, forest fires, which is probably one of loved a good forest fire just to fuck with his worshippers. Like he's messed up. It's messed up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like whatever god you believe in sending a bunch of bullets in your direction.
Right. Why not? So that to me was like, sort of definitely seemed to have referenced the frost troll, in the coming down further south to more temperate climates, possible demonic machinations, yada, yada, yada. We get a little hint of that apparently in 1E lore. So let's talk about the 1E ice troll, the sort of frost troll equivalent. These were particularly common in Irison. You can see it's a little more garbed up, almost fitting the description of the 2E lore a little bit better, with the trophies and whatnot. They were known to serve the White Witches in Irison as enforcers. In fact, ice trolls were even granted control over an entire district in the capital of Whitethrone. So we already get a more, not just a slightly more cunning than the average, like possibly a much more organized, civilized-ish approach to a troll here. And they were considered to be, of course, more cunning, and were known for using weapons and armor. And they were also known for abandoning their weapons pretty quickly because of the, quote, sheer joy of tearing an opponent to pieces with their own claws. So they really still, that's a civilized sort of kind of approach goes. They definitely would get into that bloodlust pretty quick.
Sort of is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Yeah. So they did share the 2E love for human flesh. And they would sometimes capture humans and actually fatten them up to make for a better meal later on. So they had a degree of patience even. And they were known also to keep winter wolves as pets, though they were terribly abused pets. And it was their own regeneration what allowed them to survive sort of the very regular bites and frost breaths they would endure from these winter wolves. Apparently it was common to find an ice troll actually working alongside ice giants. So that's contrary to some of the 2E lore there that specifies, that all giants would sort of avoid trolls in general. No more was specified on that I could find, though. Let's see. I think just beyond that, they just seem to be made out to be more civilized in whatever regard you can kind of conjure there. But yeah, that's the ice troll. And then next we have the rock troll, which is, of course, the equivalent to the cavern troll. Artwork is awesome.
This thing is
here.
Actually terrifying.
Yeah. you can kind of know, in a way, you can notice there's a bit of a common theme in the art style for the 2E ones. They're very far removed from each other in the 1E ones here. There are obviously some similarities, but the art styles are, very different.
Yeah, they're stark contrasts of each other. Though there is like similar themes that run through each of them, but these are much more interesting.
Seriously. So pretty much everything on their wiki page and in the bestiary is shared in the 2E cavern troll lore. So we do get that they're 16 feet tall and about 1,200 pounds. There is a reference to the rock troll being alchemically enhanced alongside the thin plant-like moss troll. And the reference comes from the Classic Monsters Revisited by James Jacobs of 2008. I didn't realize we had the PDF. So my note here says I wasn't willing to buy said PDF because the legacy pricing on the PDFs of Paizo have not come down. Still like $16 for that thing.
I got a solid Humble bundle years and years ago back when we first started playing 1E. So a lot of this stuff is in the library floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
I may not have labeled it appropriately either. That's entirely possible.
We did sort of end up covering last time, but I actually forgot to go cover it again. I forget where it was, but there was information in that PDF about, chemically enhancing the blood, I believe it was. And that's what ended up causing their weakness to the sunlight. It was sort of like a mishap, if I recall correctly, in the experiment.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So it's why they have that weakness. But let's talk about the mountain troll that was briefly mentioned earlier. This thing is hideous. Much more hairy.
This thing looks like the first try at Bebop from the Ninja Turtles.
It really does. It really does. For anyone listening who knows the Ernest films with Jim Varney. There was a Halloween one called Ernest Scared Stupid, where he had to kiss this mother troll on the lips in order to like destroy it by the end of the film, and it looked a lot like this. They had this big like animatronic puppet. It was hilarious.
It really does. It's got like this snout, and then it's just 100% hair.
Yeah, it's really gross. What you don't get out of this image is that this thing is 30 feet tall. It is monstrously large.
What? 30?
30 feet. They basically run around like knuckling the ground like a gorilla in shallow ravines of the mountains. And
it's a 3-story walk up.
Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, 30 feet tall and prone to fits of violence. That sounds terrifying.
Oh my God.
They actually are also known to have a connection to the first world of some kind, like akin to like gnomes do. And they were known to actually sometimes give advice to and directions to travelers, so long as they were given some sort of respect. And other trolls would actually take advantage of this sort of loose generosity while sheltering in their homes and like traveling through their lands. But they were very careful next to these things because they were so much larger and they didn't stick around for long. You can find a little more, I think, information on that in the book, The Lands of the Linorm Kings. That's where they are covered.
That'll be in the reading list over on the blog at encounterthis.ca if you want to check that out.
Let's talk about the moss troll. Thinner, smaller,
I forgot
gangly
about this one.
AF. Yeah. They're about 9 feet tall, 550 pounds. The moss and mold actually grows naturally on its skin. It's it kind of like the skin also does something to help produce it, apparently. And then, so they basically hang from the trees and attack from above, usually without care of the height. So they're like pretty happy to just lunge down because they're again ravenously hungry. But if you take a look at them, you can see that their feet obviously cling onto the branch really well, and they'll happily hang if they can and just reach down with their like really long limbs to attack while still hanging up in the tree. And predictably, you can imagine this thing especially fears fire, but acid has no effect on it.
Oh, interesting. This thing kind of looks like an emaciated Dragonborn from 5e.
It kind of does. I gave you that for sure. Yeah, it does look sad. Again, with the underbite. Always so prominent.
I know what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the Dragon Muppet. Dudley, I think is what its name is. Did you ever see the Dragon Muppet? It's in like newer episodes.
Oh, is it? I don't know. Maybe.
I'll send you a picture after this. I think it was I think they're in the newer movies.
Maybe get it ready for the pop culture segment when we get to it.
I will.
In one of the other parts. Yeah. We also have a sewer troll. The list goes on and on. Smaller and lankier as well, about 200 pounds, 6 feet tall. Their eyes would absorb ambient light, but become damaged by it. And then their regeneration would kick in, and this caused their eyes to glow as they were continually damaged and regenerated. Very porcine, this one as well. And look at the length of its arms, down, like, looks like it's got these they don't even look like claws. They just look like really long nails. And they are definitely scraping along the ground as it walks. It's not less hunched over than its kin, and it's very ominous. Very ominous.
This thing is just straight nightmare fuel. Like, it is, it's crazy. I don't like looking at this image.
Moving on. We have what is known as a flood troll, which are related to what is called a scrag. So scrags are aquatic trolls with distant relations to the mountain troll, apparently. They have swim speed, amphibious trait, and the regeneration only worked when they were in contact with water. And they would have litters of 2 to 6 offspring that would often end up having one that was a mutant runt that they called the Aruktai, or half scrag. And these runts would live in the shadows of their siblings unless there was the rare time of twin runts, in which it was considered an omen of storms and floods, and then they would be pampered by their mother and favored. They're called runts, but they're still 7 feet tall and 250 pounds. So still very intimidating.
No big deal.
No big deal at all. And then we have a chimney troll. A chimney troll were urban dwelling trolls. This just looks like some sort of were-rat.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This looks like a were-rat with rabies.
It's just like the only thing is lacking for a rat feature is like the sort of snout-esque part of it. It's instead of snout, it's just all mouth, and the nose is sort of receded as opposed to at the point. And it
also looks like it might be blind.
It does look like it might be blind, and it looks like it's riddled with disease. It looks like you don't want to touch it.
Yeah,
you're
this
calling
is what's actually
the crew
responsible
that picks
for the
up
bubonic plague.
Yeah, 100%. These were urban dwelling, and they actually could not regenerate normally. They had this really weird thing where they actually needed to consume fire in order to heal their own wounds. So instead of being weak to it, they needed it to actually regenerate anything. So they would stalk the rooftops of cities and hide in the chimneys and suck up the flames in the fireplaces, which was probably absolutely terrifying to the residents within.
Yeah. So this is where I went on the diatribe in the previous attempt about how terrifying it would be to encounter a chimney rat that just fucks with fire so hard that it will eat it.
Yeah. So right. So it's like, here's the example in which the fire is not going to kill it. So it's like, it's terrifying. It's just consuming it in front of you instead. Extra scary.
And the crux of that is this concept that we've all had forever. It might even just be an innate, like a genetic thing at this point, that fire is bad. Always has been.
Right. Yeah.
And
always.
to come up against something where it doesn't affect it has to be like terrifying. Like it is one of the few universal constants in our life. Like there's very few things that we know of that won't be pissed off about fire. Like if you encounter a bear, you can throw a torch at it and it's going to do the same thing as it would do if you threw a torch at me. Like it's going to burn. It's gonna ideally set it on fire. I mean, even aliens, like the xenomorphs in the Alien movies, weak to fire. Right. Predators, weak to fire. Like even these prime, these top level apex predators in our mythos, like the mythos we created, are weak to fire. There are gods in our mythos that are weak to fire. So when you come
usually
up
the only things that aren't are like either already made of fire or made of like rock, that's usually the case. So this is a very different version and alternate for all of that. But let's talk about the next one, which is a troggle, which is a half ogre, half troll, which I don't really want to think about how it was created. It's apparently barely more intelligent than an average animal, and they tend to kill on sight, but have a natural aptitude for hunting and tracking. And ogres would find them very useful as hunting pets, sometimes outfitted them with weapons and armor even. And this artwork is, it looks like a hybrid, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. I can assure you that all of the artwork that I found around the ogres where I found this, all their faces were all the same as this thing. So it's like kind of really creepy in that sense. That like,
it's almost humanoid, but it's humanoid if it's been scrunched up, like if you shrink a JPEG in the wrong
Right.
dimensions.
Yeah. It's giving you
It's
like
got this
monkey or
long
primate
rat-like
vibes,
tail.
but not quite there either. So
Yeah.
it's very unnerving, this one. Yeah. We also have a canopy troll, which is very small actually.
What the fuck?
This is some monkey vibes. This is actually only about 3 feet tall, but it is 150 pounds at 3 feet tall. It's got big old tusks and claws, and its hands are the size of a normal troll size, despite its height. And they are nothing but meat on those hands and those arms.
Yeah. This looks like a vampire bat with gorilla forearms glued onto it.
Yeah, it really does.
Just the forearms, though. Its biceps are the regular in proportion size. Its legs are a little short, but
it must have a hard time
about the size of its torso. Yeah.
The prehensile tail, if you look closely, you'll notice it actually doubles as a venomous stinger as well. It's got a little like hook on the end there. And it is apparently double the length of its own body too. So it's real long, real versatile.
That's a balance thing. So it's probably for moving through them treetops.
Yeah. And then finally, we have something where I have very little information on. It's called a spark troll. It apparently appeared in Pathfinder 6th edition, the Pathfinder Society Season 2. It's a tiny creature with the affinity for electricity, is horned with long barbed tongues connected to fiends in the abyss, and had limited flight capacity. But that's all I've got. I have no picture. I don't know if it even has traits related to the troll. It just was called Spark Troll, and I don't have said
kind of just sounds
scenario.
Like
so yeah, it does a bit, right? I wonder if like it's a bit of a misnomer and it's more like an imp than an actual troll. But
like a peanut or a strawberry.
Sure.
It's not a nut and it's not a berry.
There you go. But yeah, that covers a lot of artwork and a lot of fun little facts and all of the lore we will cover today.
Yeah, that was great. You just fucking machine gun that off. So mad props for that. That was really impressive.
Yeah. Let's get into mechanics. We are going straight to mechanics in this one. We will cover some of the IRL stuff, like you said, in the next one. So let's talk about mechanics here. We are looking at, so I've kind of done my notes up here to be compacted, so it's a little bit gnarly and color coded. But let's take a look. We're looking at a range of levels here. We're actually going to cover also some stats for a creature that is in an adventure path. I don't know any story related as to where and how, but it is an older adventure path. It's from Kingmaker. So it is designated. It does appear in 2e because they recently released it for 2e as a remake, and it's listed as in this epic as a troll warlord. So I don't have any lore story information on that, but we will cover some of the mechanics because they are interesting ideas to work with.
I know we've had a little bit of a debate about this, but are you going to name the creature because it is a named creature, or are we just going to keep it a troll warlord and spoilers for Kingmaker? I think I'm
keeping it a troll warlord. Yeah, I think that's where I want to keep it. Although technically I have another one of these, I think in part 2 here, which doesn't it isn't named, but it's got its own unique name, so it'll blur that line a bit. But I don't think it matters. I just want to keep any story spoilers out of it.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So and let us know in the comments below if you want, if this is the right way to do this, or slip into our Discord. You can find the link scrolling below or in the description below us.
If you prefer we avoided these, we're happy to comply, I think.
Yeah, and we want feedback on this kind of stuff too. It's as much as it's our show, it's for you guys. So
yeah. We're trying to help.
The more you can let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you want the spoilers, if you don't want the spoilers, I think we're always going to lean towards not spoilers. Yeah. But I mean, slide into those comments or into the Discord, and we can talk about what the unique creature itself is, if that's the way you want to go about it.
Faux show. So,
all right.
We are looking at a range of levels between 4 stat blocks here of 4, 5, 6, and 8. You can imagine a lot of the numbers do kind of cover that territory, like AC of 19, 20, 22. I forgot to put the Troll Warlord one in there, but I'm sure it's a little bit higher. HP of like 90, 115, 135, 190. It's a pretty standard spread because you can expect these creatures to be quite similar to each other. So for every stat I throw out there, expect it to be a little bit higher accordingly to by that level spread. It's nothing complicated. We are of course looking at we have one unique creature. The Cavern and Frost Trolls are considered uncommon, and they do have the cold and earth traits respectively. Let's talk about traits though, because this is where the commonality or the common understanding of the common troll comes in, because there is no recommended recall knowledge skill to know something about a troll. And the reason why is because they have the giant and troll traits, neither of which are covered, rules is written, under recall knowledge as an option to choose like a skill. So if it's, if it's human, you would roll society. If it's undead, you roll religion. Giant and troll are not on that list. And they do not have traits that would be. In fact, even cold and earth don't count. It would be elemental. Those are effectively character elementals, but the traits themselves do not apply. Again, rules is written.
Right.
So I double checked this. I thought, okay, it's interesting. There's only unspecified or specified lore that kind of shows up on Archives of Nethys and whatnot. And I went to Reddit, and so some people on Reddit said that it maybe ought to be society for more of a humanoid kind of approach, or nature, given it's a bit bestial. There was one particular user, Lord Locke, who said trolls are big, mean, strong, tear men apart. They regrow lost limbs. You burn them to kill them. Common knowledge. And I thought that's kind of a fun approach. Like, instead of trying to find a way to, justify how you might know this creature via some lore, maybe find a way to come up with like, here's the odd circumstance that you don't just know already. Like, everyone just knows already. These things are so famous. There's that infamy. There's a reason they're called the common troll in a way. Why not just like throw all the information out there? This is a troll. Buckle up, because when we get to the attacks, we're going to want to buckle up. It's pretty brutal.
I love this take, and I cannot explain how much I love it. I love the idea of just giving away information without a recall knowledge, and we can demonstrate that right here, right now. Freeman, tell me 3 ways to kill a vampire. I'm sure you've never encountered one, but pop culture has told us how you would kill a vampire.
Well, stake to the heart is one for sure.
Yep.
I think probably crucifix or some sort of holy symbol. At least they'll be weak to.
Usually repellent, but
water. Sometimes running water is deathly to them. I think maybe specifically.
Running water is a deterrent, but holy water is a way to kill them.
Holy water, okay. And then I don't know how effective garlic is exactly. I always assume that was a deterrent as well.
No, garlic will end them, but
will kill. Okay, and obviously sunlight's the big one. Right?
Yeah, and we're talking about Stoker vampires. Don't fucking at me with any of that Anne Rice shit. No shit on Anne Rice. Big fan, but
I'm the odd one out on vampires. I dislike most vampire lore. I love vampires, but I dislike most of the stuff. Like not being able to cross through a threshold with being invited in. I'm kind of like
sure, but you just thematically demonstrated this point in our world. It's common knowledge. You understand these basic facts about these. I mean, admittedly, they're not actual beings, but if they were, you would know how to damage one.
Yeah. For sure. So I wouldn't be at a loss due to my complete and utter ignorance. I would have something to go on. Yeah.
and because they're the underlying theme of these horror stories that we tell each other, these oral traditions, that it makes a lot of sense that a troll would be that, for especially like Irisin or the Lindhor Mountains or Belkson even.
Right. What's fun too is like, because we're covering these 3 trolls, it's like we have ones that are in the frosty lands, we have ones that are in the temperate lands, and we have ones that are underground, like just really covering the bases right out of the gate. And all 3 do not have a trait that gives them a recall knowledge basic. I mean, what we do have is that the uncommon trait, which you actually, if you look at the numbers, you'll notice that the unspecified lore is actually higher for the frost troll, even though it is one level lower than the common troll because it is uncommon. So
Right.
I do wonder if we were to go to the route of using an unspecified or specified lore, what information you'd be looking to actually offer. And I think it should be mostly applicable to the uncommon ones and not even the common one at all. Because they do have some interesting extra features. So let's dive more into that. Let's dive more into the numbers here and stuff. We are looking at everyone's got a speed of 30 except for the Cavern Troll at 25, but the Cavern Troll also has a burrow and climb of 20 each. Cool. And the Frost Troll has Ice Stride, which we'll cover in a little bit. They all speak Jotun. Undercommon for the Cavern Troll, Troll Warlord and Frost Troll speak Common. Pretty obvious spread of the attribute modifiers. Big on Strength, big on Con, medium on Dex and Wiz, pretty shit Charisma and Intelligence for the most part.
I mean, if I look like that, I'd have shit charisma
too. Although we do see a little bit more on the Warlord and the Frost Troll side, probably given leadership and more cunning.
Their connections to society and that kind of stuff. That makes sense.
Yeah. Everyone's got a boost athletics and intimidation. We see a little bit of survival from the Frost Troll and the Warlord as well. Everyone's got the highest on fortitude for saves, middle on reflex, really low will. Actually, swap reflex and will for the Warlord, but that'll come into I don't even know the details, but they have some sort of attribute regarded to like faith, I think, if I recall correctly. So that might be the reason why there's some will built in there. And of course, we're looking at weakness to fire. So it's not just the regeneration; they have a weakness to the damage. Fire 10 for both the Frost and the Common Troll. No actual weakness to Sonic for the Cavern Troll, just a regeneration shutting down. And we have a Fire 15 for the Warlord, which we kind of covered, I think, the first time we did this, in that the fire weakness does grow with the level. It doesn't shrink, and that's because of like the this sort of horizontal progression that Pathfinder 2nd Edition has tried to do with levels, where the regeneration for said creature is going to be more powerful. The weakness also has more detriment towards it, and it's the added things, the things that roll on top, the extra abilities for that horizontal progression that make these creatures interesting. And let's not forget that Frost Troll is immune to cold, and the Cavern Troll is actually immune to bleed.
That's interesting, considering we've already discussed that it has that alchemical blood, and if skeletons can bleed, it's weird that troll is immune to it. That's a
good point. That is a good point. Maybe they are just maybe they're just tough nuts to crack.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that would make sense to me. It actually would make a lot of sense to me if all trolls were immune to bleed, because of that regeneration. Like, if that activates, the bleed just shuts off. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, okay. Sure. Why not?
We, of course, they all have...
Just figured it out.
Okay.
It's their blood that's the regenerative substance. So as soon as it hits the crack, seals the crack, Cavern Troll's immune to bleed. Makes sense.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. And the Cavern Trolls might be immune to bleed, but their blood is in effect their biggest weakness, as well as their strength. So there is that. Let's talk attacks, because they all have jaws and claw attacks, as you can imagine. Jaws doing piercing damage, claws doing slashing. All of which, or both of which, have reach of 10 feet because they are large creatures. The claw being agile, which is very common across the board. They all also have rend. Rend is brutal. I love rend. Rend is awful. Rend is a wonderful thing.
As somebody who's experienced it as a player, not a fan.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. For those who don't know what rend is, if the monster hit the same enemy with 2 consecutive strikes of the listed type in the same round, such as claw, both succeed. You can spend that third action to rend, which means you just automatically get to deal the damage again from the claw.
Fuck that map -10. I'm just gonna rend.
Just gonna rend. And they all, of course, have attack of opportunity, which is now being renamed as reactive strike with the remaster.
Oh my god, I don't remember that from the first one. That's so much worse. Rend and reactive strike. That is. Oh my god.
So
Glad we didn't fight this.
Reactive strike, yeah, right. Reactive strike being probably one of the most commonly understood ones. You know, whatever certain action triggers it, you get a free attack. Does not count against your map for that purpose because it's not on your churn. And of course, everyone's got regeneration deactivated by whatever applicable sort of damage type. The regeneration means that at the beginning of their turn, they will gain the listed amount of HP. So, say for the common troll, it's 20, which is not a small amount for a level 5 creature. Just boom, 20 for free. You can never increase the dying condition beyond dying 3 if regeneration is continued to be active. So it's one of the rare cases you would actually use the dying condition for a creature. Orcs being the other one for like orc ferocity. Deactivated if the creature takes a listed type of damage the end of the next turn. So usually acid and fire. And the deactivation, of course, occurs before the damage is applied, which is important because the applying damage might kill the creature, so you want it to actually apply before, so that your order of operations means that the actual fireball deactivated it and killed it, and now it's permanent. It's not, there's no room for error there.
That makes a lot of sense, and I didn't even think about the mechanics of that. So I'm glad you brought that up and pointed that out. That's really smart. That is some high level shit from Paizo right there.
Yeah, they're pretty good about that kind of stuff. I love it. And it's honestly though, big props to Reddit as well, because like as much as Paizo is really good about their wording, sometimes it really does take the community to interpret it and point out they use this word, not that word, and then you're like, oh, now it makes sense, because there are many words, many words. You
heard it here, folks. There are many words.
There are so many words.
And Freeman knows the best words.
What I just covered is everything that the common troll has, and honestly, it's what makes me love the common troll. It's why my tentative title for this episode is My Kind of Deadly. It is so fucking simple to cover, so simple to run, and it is deadly. It is jaw, claw. It is claw, rend. It is attack of opportunity, reactive strike, whatever. It is mess you up with brute strength and aggression. That's all it is. And the regeneration on top of that. Oh, stressful. It's just stressful aggression, and I kind of love that. It's really fun. And I think everyone deserves to know how to defeat it without a check because of how aggressive that is.
Yeah. As you point that out, it makes a whole lot of sense. I'd probably make the check for like, what type of regeneration, or its weaknesses, or whether or not it has the AOO, or if it's a crit, I'd probably give them away the rend. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense to not just here's everything If you want to roll a check, I don't know, roll me a nature check or a society or whatever you think is applicable in the moment.
Right. So let's talk about the extra things that these other versions have. The Frost Troll does come with a weapon, a hatchet. So that gives it a 2d6 plus 7 slashing, agile, reach, but it's got the sweep trait, which is nice. So you're adding a little extra flavor to that possibility of attacks there. Also a ranged weapon. You can throw a hatchet. So it does have a thrown range of 10 feet with a creature that has a reach of 10 feet. So kind of pointless. But there it is. It's in the stat block because that's what the hatchet do. It's not really that efficient for this creature.
Wouldn't it be a range of 20 feet then? Or 15
It's not.
feet?
No. It's kind of not how it works, which is a little bit odd.
That's weird.
Because you have to consider so reach can come in two ways. It can come from the reach of the creature and the reach of the the reach of the weapon, and they're two different sources. The thrown trait doesn't really change based on your reach any more than the range increment of a ranged weapon would. You know, just because you're holding technically holding that bow out 5 more feet than normal doesn't mean it actually gets 5 more feet of range increment.
Right.
Maybe not 100% sensible, but it's certainly part of the balance, I think, of the game.
And
this is one of those like
simplicity. It would get
I think it's one of those things where it's
gnarly,
like it's in the stat block because it's obligatory because the hatchet just happens to have the thrown trait. So
all those traits are just hatchet traits, the agile, sweep, and thrown. So yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, flavor-wise, the thing might literally just run up. Given it's the frost troll, and we did cover in the 1E lore, but it loves to get its hands in there. So maybe it's just a flavor, run up, toss, claw, go, like, you know, and it might not need to toss it, but maybe it just did anyway because it's eager to get rid of it and feel the warm passing blood of its own hands.
You can also take the -2 and throw it another 10 feet.
That's true. That is a good point. Because if you go past that set range increment or whatever, you just take a penalty. It doesn't mean you can't do it. So that is a very good point. Ice Troll, Frost Troll also has Ice Stride, which means it's not impeded by difficult terrain that's caused by snow or ice, and does not need to attempt acrobatics checks on slippery ice, which makes that creature that much more terrifying, given that it implies that you would be more likely to encounter it in such an environment. Forget the hatchet. It's no less dangerous than the common troll, despite its level being 1 lower. It's not much less in the damage and its abilities, and you might not be able to move, and you might just be falling on your ass the whole time if you're not making those acrobatics checks in the wrong environment. So it's arguably
we harp on it all the time, but use terrain, GMs. Use it. We just did a fight with difficult terrain in Stemming the Tide, which will come out in like 4 or 5 months after this. But it was excellent. It was so much fun, and it made the fight so much more interesting and dynamic to navigate. Use it if it's available to you. If that's the kind of setting you're in, use it. It's awesome, and it brings out a creativity in your players you probably don't know is there.
It can be really, really neat. And don't just consider difficult terrain. Just consider an environment. You know, obviously with something that's like we're playing in a pre-written adventure, and we have this, the maps all made out for us and everything. But you know, sometimes you guys look at those maps and go, "Is that a cover? Is that this?" And I'm like, I didn't even consider that. You know, that wasn't part of my planning at all. But yes or no or what have you, I had to think about it on the spot. But just environment, because there was a fight that I think is out now or is coming out soon. That it wasn't difficult terrain, but you were in the home of a creature that was far less of a level than you. Should have been easy, but you were in its territory, and it beat the shit out of you.
I think that drops Monday, actually. So
does it? Okay.
It will be out by the time this gets out. But yeah,
it was almost pathetic.
I mean, we also rolled very poorly. There was a new party member added. Like it was there were a lot of circumstances, but also we just done fucked up.
It was a lesson hard learned. Yeah, it was pretty wild. But yeah, good times. So let's talk about the Cavern Troll. Cavern Troll's got a little extra action here. Rock. It's got the rock action, which is ranged. It basically throws rocks. It can throw rocks like anyone, but better.
Encounter this like anyone, but better. New merch idea.
This actually comes. They have this creature ability called Throw Rock, which has the interact action. And whether it's stowed or just simply picking it up at your feet, you can throw it with a single action. It has the brutal trait, which is the sort of trait that is only available to creatures, not PCs. That allows you to add your strength modifier to your attack roll. It does 1d12 plus 8 bludgeoning. Excuse me. But it's got a range increment of 120 feet. So it can toss pretty far. This also comes with a reaction called Catch Rock. And of course, it must have a free hand, or it can release anything that it is holding as part of the reaction if it wants to quickly drop whatever it might be holding. And then basically if a rock is thrown at it via a strike, or a rock would fall upon the creature for some reason, again using environment in some way, it basically uses, yeah, right. It basically uses uses a reaction to get a +4 circumstance most to the AC versus said triggering attack or the defense of the falling rock. And if it were to miss or the defense succeeds, it would basically catch the rock and take no damage, and is now, of course, holding it and ready to throw it back. Which is just, just a kind of a fun, flavorful thing. And I love that you mentioned telekinetic projectile, because it's very commonly used in SCT, and it is usually a bludgeoning damage situation because you're underground and in caverns, and this is like a very particular thing. It's like, yep, it's a rock. This thing catch it.
Telekinetic projectile could be the subtitle for our show.
It really could. It really could.
Except to be spelled like telenetic projectile.
Telenetic, yeah. So beyond that, the Cavern Troll also has something called Rock Tunneler, which means it can burrow through solid stone at a speed of 10 feet, and can leave a tunnel behind if it desires. Now, this is important, I think, because it has a burrow speed of 20 feet, but it has a rock tunneler burrow speed of solid stone for 10 feet. This is one of those, I think, kind of hidden or like not so obvious rules that don't explicitly state somewhere. It's like burrow does not mean through any sort of rock and earth. It means through...
No, burrow is soft ground.
Right. And so this thing has to have a special ability in order to go through solid rock. And it's going through it at a slower rate and pace or speed than usual. So it's very important to remember that, especially as GMs, that like your burrow speed does not mean rock. And you have to consider your environment for that.
I also love that it can leave a tunnel behind if it desires. That is such a beautiful caveat. Like I love that inclusion.
Really makes for like a sort of terrifying kind of scenario sometimes when this thing can just burst out of the wall and start attacking you, and then suddenly just go into a rock wall again, and you'll know it went through. I think it'd be the signs of it burrowing through the stone will be obvious, but it just leaves no trail behind to follow it. And you're like, damn, where's it going to come out next? It's kind of a scary thing.
It is very scary. As again, a party who just very recently dealt with rock glide. Not a fan.
Yep, that came up too. It was great. I loved that fight.
I bet you did.
It was
twice, I think.
Nearly. Yeah. So let's talk about the final thing for the Cavern Troll. It is the glorious sunlight petrification. So if the Cavern Troll is exposed to direct sunlight, it becomes slowed 1 and cannot use reactions or trample, which we'll cover in just a sec. Slowed increases by 1 every time the troll ends its turn in direct sunlight. And then if the troll's actions were to be reduced to 0 in this way, it becomes petrified. So basically 3 rounds.
That's cool. I like that. So actually,
exposed right away. Next two turns, starting in the sunlight, will petrify it. It basically it is restored if it manages to spend 1 full minute in darkness. And spells like Sunburst that create magical sunlight actually cannot petrify the troll in this way, but it will make it slowed 1 for 1d4 rounds if exposed to such an effect. So magical sunlight versus actual sunlight, there is a difference that, and it does affect it in different ways.
Also a very interesting caveat, but I like it. I like that, it's indifferent from actual sunlight. Like you or I would not be able to tell it that it's different. It's UV light, it's the right Kelvin temperature, all that stuff. But I like that, it doesn't petrify the troll, but it is slowed. So I think that's great. I wish that it wasn't for 1d4 rounds and it was as long as, the sun was active, because I think there are higher level sunlight spells that are just produce sunlight.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think particularly with Sunburst, it is literally a burst. So it's a there and then it's gone kind of thing. So you're still getting kind of good mileage out of that. But if the classic sunlight spell exists there, I'm actually not sure off the top of my head, and it's like a sort of persistent thing. I mean, realistically, I see no why you wouldn't like maybe be. I think you could justify just continuing it over. It's like it's continuously exposed, therefore it's technically a continuous 1d4 rounds of slowed. You don't have to roll it every time because it's a minimum 1, so it just stays slowed 1. You know, you're not increasing the slowed number or value, but you can maintain that, I think, without having to fight about it too much. I think that would be totally reasonable.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Like bottled sunlight or whatever.
Yeah, something like that would be really cool.
I'm not seeing a sunlight spell, so it makes sense that they didn't include that.
Maybe they've changed it up. Let's talk about trample real quick, because trample is decidedly missing from the stat block. It is specified that it cannot trample with sunlight petrification, and but it doesn't have the trample ability. I thought to myself, maybe this is because this is coming from a sunlight petrification as a creature ability. So it's covering a bit of a universal kind of process or whatever here.
Right.
But then I found that no other creature other than this one has sunlight petrification. So I think Paizo just, maybe they intended for trample to be there, but removed it later, but forgot it here. But it seems to be a typo as far as I can tell. And it is on Archives of Nethys. Haven't reported it like I did one before, but it might be worth doing. Who knows? I think whatever PDF I have is probably not up to date, so maybe it's been errated at some point. But there is no trample actually involved in these stat blocks. So
okay, I don't know why you'd want to trample with this creature anyway. Trample is a tough one. It is 3 actions, can stride twice through the spaces of creatures, and it deals the listed damage of a strike. Like it's fine. The trampled creatures can
it's all about positioning, right?
Half.
It's all about positioning, because you can get a lot of damage in on more targets than normal if you line it up just right. But it's usually the sort of thing you get from, like, you know, a giant stag or something like that you've encountered in the wild, and it just like, or a mammoth, like, you know, it tramples through the terrain. It is worth mentioning that these things are large, so there's more space for it to like take advantage of that sort of thing, or, you know, any creature that would have trample anyway. I kind of know what you mean. Like these things have enough going for them; they don't need it. So
no, and if you're fighting one of these in an enclosed space, you probably already lost.
Yeah, probably. But let's talk about the Troll Warlord. The Warlord does come with some equipment. Is wearing hide armor, particularly in this case, has a +1 Darkwood Thundering Morningstar. Darkwood, I think, is basically just a material that makes it a lighter bulk. Thundering is interesting though as a rune, because it adds sonic damage, and I think there is a reflex or a fortitude check attached to that, fortitude check to possibly be deafened for 1 minute. So that makes for a very different attack from a creature like this. That might target a spellcaster.
Fortitude, and it's deafened for an hour on a critical failure.
Oof, which is brutal. Very brutal.
Yeah, so that the fortitude save only goes off if it's a critical hit. But yeah, Thundering's a cool rune.
Gotcha. But yeah, so you know, because like in the case of the level of this creature, like the jaws are doing 2d10 plus 9, claws 2d8 plus 9. This thing's only doing 1d8 plus 9, but it's also doing 1d6 sonic. So you're kind of breaking up all of a sudden the damage types, because it's also piercing or bludgeoning. So now you've got a full spread of options here for damage types. And then we get into it's got this cool ability called Royal Command. So obviously this warlord, it's in charge of something. Auditory fear and linguistic traits. The effect is that each ally that hears and understands becomes quickened until the end of the ally's next turn. and they could only use that action for a strike. So might only be a strike, but it's really like it's a pretty big sudden single action command that lets people run in and start swinging, all kind of en masse or when their turn comes up. You can't use Royal Command 2 turns in a row, but you can use it on the next turn after that. So it is something that continues to sort of like come up. Certainly, it's something you would want to rotate in big time.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's so powerful.
It's getting right into the Knolls, right? And one of their abilities, if I recall correctly, right?
Yeah, the war cry or pack tactics.
November
like
meets Trollvember. Who'd have thunk? They also are just going to cover, because they got one really cool ability, but I'm going to cover one that's like a little bit whatever. It's a passive called Dream of Rulership. This is kind of AP spoilers that are built in there, but they're basically inspired by something in the story, and it basically causes them to have a bonus against fear effects. So if they roll a saving throw against fear effects, the result is 1 degree of success higher. So it's a little extra thing that's attached to this unique creature. It's kind of something that can be added for like story reasons, I guess, to this, but to like, well, any kind of creature you might be building yourself. But I want to talk about this ability that I want to talk about that's really cool is called Shield Rip and Chew. And it's 2 actions. And the requirement is that the opponent has raised their shield, which James is very familiar with that action.
Yeah, that's what you do with the shield. You got to put it up, otherwise you get nothing out of it.
It's what you do. The effect of this ability is that you attempt to pull the shield away and roll an athletics versus the reflex DC against the shield opponent, and then make a jaws strike. So you roll this attempt, and if it's a success, the opponent does not benefit from the raised shield for the following strike. And if it's a critical success, the shield is no longer raised. So you've managed to pull it straight down. And this does count as 2 attacks towards the map, but not until after the jaws strike. So it is it is doubling up on the map, but it is effectively on the best case scenario is
right.
You are no longer have your shield raised, which is
rolling brutal. 2 attacks at your highest bonus. That is rough for defenders.
Almost something amazing about having taken away someone's action economy after they have spent it on something, which is a really interesting approach. I think it's a retroactive. No, you didn't do that anymore, or you're not doing it for a moment. Makes the action feel wasted in a very different way. I think that's really
neat. That'd be painful as a player. I wouldn't care for that at all. But that's a really, really cool mechanic.
Yeah, really, really neat. So, Troll Warlord, for your listening pleasure. But that's it. That's Trollvember Part 1. It was a lot of ranting. And so will the next 2. Will all the subsequent episodes. But
they know what they're here for.
They've bought in by now, I'm sure. But yeah, that's the trolls. I think they are, like I said, my kind of deadly, especially the classic troll. I think they're fun. I have no real changes, I don't think. I just like them. I like the way they are. I think they're each one of them is simple to run, have a little extra flavor added to them. They're easy to track. I think they're just full of flavor, and I think they're wicked. I think they're really wicked.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any homebrew yet. I want to finish writing the next episode before I go into that stuff. So next episode will be mythology and folklore focused with some more stat blocks, if I remember correctly. And then the third and final episode will have even more stat blocks. I think the items are slotting into that, maybe even the pop culture references, which there will be quite a few. So we're going to breeze by a lot of them because I don't care about most of them.
Yeah.
But maybe after that, I'll slot in any homebrew that I can come up with in the moment. Because right now, what we've seen so far is just it's great. It's indicative of everything, but normally the homebrew for me comes from that comparison to our cultural, the mythology and folklore. So we can revisit that later.
Yeah,
that gives the
I'm really excited for that comparison. Yeah, I'm excited for the mythology and to see where these stats and stuff have come from and where they're inspired from, and that I always love those moments. So we're waiting for it on this this format, but yeah, I'm ready for it.
There's a lot. Almost everything we've touched on it comes from some of one of the cultures that we'll talk about next in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but
really cool.
Hold on to your butts for that, listeners. If you like this or any previous episodes or upcoming, you can help support this show and the whole network over at patreon.com/unchartednorth. $5 a month will get you a handwritten thank you letter. I'm not just going to type it up. It's not a form
written
letter.
by hand.
I handwrite these with a fun fountain pen. They're all tailored to each individual. You get some other goodies in the envelope too, so it's not a bad deal. For $10 a month, though, that's where things start to get really interesting. You can tell us what we're covering next.
We've had a slew of those recently, and they've been really fun. So
yeah, Skull Taker, Nixie,
people will be jumping on the train. Yeah.
If you want to get yourself some merch, maybe one of these cool dad caps, you can find those over at unchartednorth.com/shop. We are working to add some new items for the new year, so hopefully those will come out eventually. Right now, it's still all the same old song and dance, but we got that beautiful compass logo, and we got Cruddy slapped over everything you could possibly want. For the show notes and the reading list, you can find those all over at encounterthis.ca. If you're an audio listener and you want to see what we look like or what these trolls look like, you can do so at youtube.com/@encounterpod. And if you could rate and review on your platform of choice, that really helps us out. If you're on the YouTube, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that bell so you're notified every time a new episode goes live. But everybody, each and every one of you, tell a friend. You never know who's going to be into this weird shit that we do.
You never know. And don't forget that we just recently, kind of going back to our 5e roots a little bit, myself and one of my good friends, John, from the East Coast of Canada, who lives near Duncan from Stemming the Tide, we started doing just a casual live stream of Baldur's Gate 3. John was one of my early hopefuls for the actual play podcast, but he could not commit given school and stuff. But he's this wicked fun, awesome, funny dude, and we have a great rapport. And it's super casual. We're not trying to impress anybody with our performance there, but it's a pretty fun romp. And we're trying to do those as consistently as we can every Monday, somewhere around 3 p.m. PST, West Coast Canada time, whatever that works out to be.
Yeah. If you want more information about that, just you can find all that. We post all these updates on our Discord at unchartednorth.com/Discord. That will get you a direct link directly into our Discord. You don't have to go to our website. You don't have to click a link in the description. You can just type that in. You'll be shunted directly into our fan hub where you can interact with us. You can get the announcements when all these things go live. But yeah, check them out over on youtube.com/@unchartednorth. That's where the live stream lives. Mm-hmm. And I believe you can go back and check out any of the VODs. So you can go back and rewatch to catch up if that's something you're interested in.
It'll all be on demand. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for us for this week, creatures. We will see you again in 2 weeks with Trollvember Part 2. No
Thanks,
subtitle
friends.
Yet.
No, pending. Subtitle pending.
Subtitle pending.
I'm going to call it that now.
Yeah, I know you are. I fucking know you are. Take care.
Until next time, creatures, thanks, as always, for listening to Encounter This.